The rain on Arkanis IV didn't fall like water, it fell like ash, hot and heavy, mixing with soot and blood on the cracked armor of Trooper Elias Varron. He had been in the Astra Militarum for only 2 months, but the war had a way of aging men by decades. His hands shook not from fear, but from exhaustion that carved itself into his bones. The morning began with the sirens, those cursed sirens that meant only one thing: the front was breaking again. Elias looked around his trench. Dozens of young soldiers, boys, really, sat silently, hugging their lost guns like they were the only warmth left in the universe. One of them, Miro, barely 17, whispered, "Do you think today might be the day we get rotated back?" Elias wanted to lie, that he wanted to tell the kid that yes, they would survive, that they would go home someday, that the Emperor watched over them, but the truth was simple: no one ever got rotated back on Arkanis IV. Before he could answer, the ground started trembling. A deep, monstrous rumble echoed through the valley, like the growl of a god waking from a nightmare. The trench fell into absolute silence. And then they saw it, a towering silhouette emerging from the smoke. A chaos hellbrute, its metal body twisted by demonic flesh, its roar filled with centuries of agony. Behind it marched an army of traitor marines. Miro dropped his rifle. Elias grabbed his collar. "Stay with me. Stay alive." But survival wasn't always a choice in the 41st millennium. The order came: fire at will. The trench exploded into chaos, lost guns blazing red streaks, artillery hammering the sky, the smell of hot metal burning their throats. Elias fired until his rifle overheated, then switched to grenades, then to anything he could grab. He wasn't fighting to win. He was fighting not to die. A blast knocked him off his feet, his ears ringing, the world spinning. Through the smoke, he saw Miro crawling away, crying, calling for his mother. Elias dragged himself toward him, but the hellbrute saw the movement. It raised its cannon. Elias screamed. Too late, the explosion swallowed the boy whole. The battlefield fell silent in Elias's mind, not from lack of noise, but because something inside him broke. That day, the Emperor didn't protect them. That day, Arkanis IV didn't forgive them. That day, Elias Varron stopped being human. Elias woke up buried under rubble, breathing dust and blood. Hours had passed. The front line had moved miles away. He crawled out into a wasteland filled with twisted metal, crushed bodies, and fires that refused to die. He wasn't alone. Across the ruins stood a lone Chaos Space Marine, armor cracked, helm broken, eyes burning with corruption. The Marine looked at him, amused that this fragile human had survived the carnage. "Little Guardsman," the Marine growled, "why do you still fight?" Elias stood, legs trembling, rifle shaking in his hands. "Because if I stop, someone else will die." The Marine laughed, cold, inhuman. "Your Imperium has already abandoned you. Your friends are dead. Your world is lost. Why keep suffering?" Elias lowered his rifle, not because he accepted defeat, but because he understood something terrifying. In 40K, victory wasn't survival, victory was meaning. He looked at the Marine and said, "Because even if the galaxy forgets us, we don't forget each other." And with a final surge of strength, Elias threw himself into the fight. He knew he couldn't win. He knew he would die, but in that moment, he wasn't fighting for the Emperor, he wasn't fighting for war, he was fighting for Miro, for every soldier who never got to grow old, for the humanity war tried to take away. The Marine struck him down, but Elias's defiance forced a momentary hesitation. Just long enough for the distant thunder of Imperial artillery to roar back to life. A shell detonated near them, light swallowed the world, and then, nothing, because in this universe, soldiers aren't fighting for glory or medals or history books, they fight because there is no choice, because the alternative is extinction, because every day alive is a victory, and every death is forgotten by a galaxy too large to care. But sometimes, in the ashes of impossible wars, a single act of courage reminds us that humanity still exists. Elias Varron died a nameless soldier, but he lived as something greater, a reminder that even in the darkest future imaginable, hope survives in the hearts of those who refuse to surrender.